Yeah, come and join us at Sequoia Living REI, where we only talk about relevant topics, things that are important, things that help you grow, things that help you elevate. Come and join us.
Yeah.
We're having quality conversations with SNL. We're having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah. We're having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah.
What's up, people?
Yes, this is another episode of Conversations with SNL.
Yup, I'm Seth.
I'm Lashia.
And together, we make
Sequoia Living REI.
Let's get it, people.
We want to welcome you to our podcast today, everyone, where we bring you stories and insights from interesting people from all walks of life. Today, we are thrilled to have with us a multi-talented individual who has excelled in various fields. Our guest played soccer and swimming in high school and went on to pursue mechanical engineering at Drexel University in Pennsylvania. During his time at Drexel, he played club soccer for all 5 years. For the past 8 years, he has been working as a mechanical engineer designing HVAC systems for industrial clients such as pharma, research labs, drug manufacturing, and universities. Our guest is not only passionate about engineering, but also about fitness. He has been doing CrossFit for 17 years and has been a CrossFit coach for 7 of them. Additionally, he has been a nutrition coach for 2 years. His love for CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting is evident, and he is equally passionate about coaching as he is doing it himself. In addition to his engineering and fitness career, our guest has also ventured into real estate. He has been wholesaling directly to seller for over a year now and has recently purchased his first BRRRR property. Today, he joins us to talk about his journey and share his experiences and insight into the world of engineering, fitness, and real estate. So without further ado, let's dive into this conversation with our guest, Zack Busch. Zack, people, Zack.
What's up, Zack?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Going well.
Awesome,
it's going well.
Awesome, glad to hear it. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Of course. I know you got a lot, got a lot to teach us. You got a lot to learn about you.
Yes.
Let the people know what time it is with Zack.
Yes.
Hey, yeah. So, like I said, my biggest passion is CrossFit and fitness. I use that as an outlet for stressful days at work. I also am interested in real estate investing. So, when I'm not working my 9 to 5, I'm doing those couple of items. They're my hobbies, they're my true passions. And, I just ultimately want to help people, whether that's help them in the gym or, help them through a real estate transaction or help somebody out of a real estate position that they're in. Just looking to help as many people as I can.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, so look, we're gonna pick your brain a little bit, see what you got for it.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. So with your impressive background, in mechanical engineering, how did you discover your passion for CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting? That's one big thing for me, and I like lifting, I like working out too. And what keeps you motivated, in these pursuits?
Yeah, so, as you mentioned, I played sports pretty much my entire life. Soccer was my main focus. Swimming was just something that I did as well, just different seasons. So I always did those two things. And the one thing that was always missing, through high school was, the weightlifting portion of it. I was training the actual sport itself, but we had some time in the gym, but it was usually just the swimming coach or the soccer coach who didn't have any regimented program or no specific programming on doing squats or whatever it is. So I got exposed to it, but never had anything really developed officially. So actually the person who ran the gym at my mom's work, he introduced her to CrossFit. This was back in 2006. So before CrossFit was even really big. And he said, hey, I found this new weightlifting, this fitness program. Maybe, you'll be interested in it. Maybe your kids will be interested in it. So she brought that to us. Again, I was in high school, so I was just doing that 2 days a week during the season and just focusing on the lifting portion of it then, and doing it 3 or 4 days a week when we weren't in season. So that was my supplemental, stay in shape, get stronger as much as possible, because I wasn't getting exposed to that during the season or from the actual sports themselves. I think schools are doing a little bit better with that, and coaches are doing a little bit better with that. But when I was there, at least at my school, it wasn't a focus as part of the team. So I got exposed to it pretty early. And again, it was just a supplemental thing, but I loved it. I loved, obviously playing sports. I'm a pretty competitive person, but CrossFit kind of allows you to be competitive both externally against other people, but internally as well, right? You're going against your old, max lifts, and you're kind of fighting physically and mentally through a workout, kind of pushing yourself that way. So I loved doing that. But sports were still my focus. I loved playing the sports, I loved meeting people through the sport. So I continued that through high school and college, and still doing the CrossFit and lifting thing on the side just to support it. But ultimately, once I got out of school and I was no longer playing sports in any kind of organized fashion, I needed something to do. Like I was always active. So that's where I just jumped in and continued and kind of increased the amount of CrossFit classes I was taking, and just starting to learn more about it and getting more involved in it. And again, just building it, turned into my sport. So that's how I kind of got into doing CrossFit, and I was doing it so much and reading about it and watching it enough that I was like, oh, let's just do coaching too. So I think that's kind of how it all happened. It just replaced from one sport to another sport, and it's something that is able to help me stay healthy and stay motivated during it, because it is a community thing. They're group classes. So I've met a ton of friends through there. I met my wife through it. So it's multifaceted in my life, not just health and fitness, but I learned what it feels like to feel better and healthy, that I don't ever want to go back or go to another direction and start going away from it. It's just too much ingrained in my life at this point. So it's not even necessarily I need to stay motivated, because I enjoy doing it so much, and because I've made it so much a part of my life that it's what I want to do as much as possible.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome
right there.
Yeah. To be able to find your passion, to love it, to meet people who also have the same passion. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you've been a CrossFit coach for 7 years and a nutrition coach for 2. Can you tell us more about your coaching approach and philosophy, and how has it evolved over time?
Yeah, so when I jumped into, like I said, I was doing CrossFit myself a ton. I was at the gym a ton. I was kind of helping people with stuff here and there, because I was already doing it, and I'd be partnering with somebody while we're lifting, so they would do a set, and then I would watch them, and then I would do a set. So I was kind of doing the coaching without having any kind of certifications or any somewhat formal training. So I was kind of exposed to it in a way, but once I finally made the leap to start officially coaching, get the certification, and do that, there's a lot of things during the class that I never realized were going on. Like, as a coach, you need to, manage the people that are coming in. You need to make sure everybody's doing the same thing at the same time, because they're group classes. If it's one-on-one, it's easy to take, work somebody through one person through an entire workout, where now you have 10, 15, 20 people that you need to make sure they're warming up and doing the same thing and all doing it correctly and right. And so when I first started, it was balancing that. How do I, explain this movement or this workout to a group of people so that way it's easy, they understand it, they don't have a ton of questions for me. How do I make sure the class flows really well and nice? And so the first year or two was just figuring all that stuff out, and what kind of coach was I going to be, and how was I going to handle all of that, and just learning how to help with all of those things. So after a little while, I kind of got into the groove of it. And, for me, I'm not this over enthusiastic person. Like, I am not like a super extrovert. I'm normally introverted. So I'm not going to be somebody that's jumping around and cheering and doing all this. But I'm also not somebody who's going to like drill sergeant you and yell at you and get you, like, most people don't get motivated that way. Yeah, exactly. Through my entire sports career, like, some people think that works for them. Like, the coach yelling at them gets them motivated. It never worked for me. So if it didn't work for me, I can't portray that to somebody else. And I think most people, like, this isn't a sport for most people. This is, I want to come in after a long day at work. I want to just let some steam off. And yeah, I want to get healthier. I want to get a little bit fitter. I want to feel better. But most people are just coming in, spending an hour of their day just trying to relieve some of that stress and just get a nice little workout in, right? CrossFit can be seen as this like super intense, crazy, people only see like the high level elite people doing all this crazy gymnastic stuff, and that's really not what it is. Like it can be intimidating because there is weight and it's a combination of things, but people just want to come in, they want to move for an hour, they want to talk to other people. So as a coach, I want to be able to facilitate that. I want it to be, instructions to be concise, and I want them to be clear and simple, so that way people don't have to do any extra thinking than they need to, especially having, most of the classes I teach are in the evening, so they're coming after work. They're already kind of fried, right? So I want it to be a fun class too. So I try to make it a mission to talk to every single person in the class at least one time, whether it's just saying hi or fixing technique or just kind of cracking a joke. Like, I just want it to be fun. I want them to enjoy the hour of them to just be able to move. And so it went from figuring out what the hell am I doing to, all right, I kind of have a groove, I know what to do. Now it's like, all right, now I can make this a fun time for everybody to be here. I just want them to enjoy the hour that they're with me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, I need to get some pointers from you myself, write down a little bit of my goals, what I'm trying to do, and let you know I'm not eating the best right now, but I'm still getting it in.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And that's part of it too, like on the nutrition side of thing, and even in the classes, right? Like, you get to know people on a personal level too, so you kind of know what drives them, and the nutrition side, like, what are your goals, right? You don't need to have 8% body fat. You don't need to have a six-pack. You don't need to have, like, that's not what 99% of people want, and it's not what most people can achieve, and that's totally cool. So it's figuring out, all right, where do you want to be, realistically, where do you want to be, and how can I help you get there, and then breaking it down. Like, that's just trying to simplay it as much as possible. People want simple and easy to execute.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm gonna hit you up about that. I'm gonna send you over an email you, let you know what I'm looking for. Help me out a little bit, brother.
Definitely. Hey man, I'll do free half-hour intros, no problem. Figure out where you're at. I can give you some pointers, and if you want to execute yourself, cool. If not, like one-on-one with me, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm happy to take on new people and help them out wherever I can.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yes.
All right, so let's just keep it moving. All right. Your real estate journey it seems to be taking off recently. With your first BRRRR property purchase, and so what inspired you, to get into real estate, and how has your experience been so far?
Yeah, so in 2019, I stumbled across, I was scrolling through Reddit, and I stumbled across the FIRE subreddit, the Financial Independence and Retire Early. So I started reading through that. It was interesting. A lot of people, that was really focused on, stock investing and cutting out all expenses except for like the bare minimum. So saving like 80% of what you make, and how can you increase how much you make at your W-2. And while all that information was good and informative, it kind of was like, okay, like eye-opening. Is like, okay, it's not just, go to work for somebody else for 40, 50 years until you're 60, 70, and then retiring. Like, there are other options, and it's going to be hard in different ways, but it kind of opened my eyes. It's like, okay, I don't have to fit the path that, society has laid out for it. And that's fine if that's how, people want to operate, how you want to operate, not knocking it. I'm just saying I didn't see myself sitting behind a desk for 40 years. Like, it's just, I enjoyed the work. My company's great, but, long term, I don't see myself being there for the next 4 years. So it kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, hey, all right, there's another options here. So going through those subreddits, stumbled across Bigger Pockets, which is the real estate podcast. Listened to that, was like, oh man, like, these people are buying properties, like, you need a ton of money for that. And it's just like, I don't know how to, like, I don't have a ton of money. Like, sure, I'm saving, I have a good paying job, but it's like, these people are tens of thousands of dollars, and then there's risk. What if I lose it all? Like, again, it's all that mindset stuff. So stumbled across Bigger Pockets, Pace Morby with his creative finance and Sub 2, joined that mentorship, and has been a huge learning experience. I love real estate because it's tangible assets. It's something you control, unlike stocks, and it's a numbers game. Like, as an engineer, like, I'm plugging away through spreadsheets, I'm doing calculations all the time, and it's like you can kind of separate the emotion from it. I tend to sometimes make emotional purchases and stuff like that. Like, I tend to react with my emotions a little too much. This is nice. Real estate is nice because you can say, here's how all the numbers, does it work or does it not work? Right. And yes, you have to learn what those numbers are, what the calculations look like. But again, doing calculations isn't an issue for me. I've always been doing it. So having solid numbers, like math problem at the end of the day, is this right? Is this not right? Does this work for me? Does it not work for me? Like, that's what's been great. And the amount of people that I met through real estate, it's just crazy how much everybody in that industry wants to help you. Like, you know, talking to you guys and everybody else through the different Facebook groups, like, I've never met so many strangers that are just like willing to help me out.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah, Pace has an awesome community. Yeah. Yes.
Behind it.
So true. So as a mechanical engineer designing HVAC systems for industrial clients, what are some of the biggest challenges you face in your work, and how do you go about solving them?
Yeah, I think any kind of, so we're consultants, or at least my company, we do consulting engineering. So I think any kind of consultant or consulting engineer, the biggest thing that they deal with is clients and communication with clients. I mean, it's even the same thing with clients at the gym or clients in real estate or sellers in real estate, right? It's just communication, right? They have something that they want, they know what they want, and I'm supposedly the expert in it, right? And whether that's engineering, real estate, you know, fitness, you know, whoever's coming to a consultant, they're the expert. So they come in and I have to figure out, what do you want? What does this look like? What does this facility look like? What does the end product look like? You know, do you guys have a certain way you want it to be done? You're the expert on the process. I'm the expert on how do I make it my side achieve what you want. So communication has been like the biggest challenge, and making sure you're over communicating and clearly communicating. Okay, you say you want this. In order to do that, I have to do this, or we should provide this. Does that make sense? Are you okay with that? Do you want to get a cost estimate on it first, right? Everybody's like, I want the best thing, but I'm only willing to spend money for the middle thing. Like, so it's just communicating on
Right.
What do you want? What can I provide? And does that work for you? So that's one of the biggest challenges, just being in communication with the owner, making sure that their expectations are met by us and that it's clear for somebody to go in and build. We create construction documents. So are we able to put what the client wants on paper so that the contractor can go out and build it? If we can communicate well throughout that entire process, then it usually goes smoothly. And ultimately, when they change something last minute or something changes last minute, which it always does, right? We've communicated enough that we're able to adapt to it quick enough.
That's awesome. Yes, and awesome advice. I hope everyone out there caught that. Communication is so vital in any relationship, whether it's fitness, whether it's real estate, as Zach said, communication is key. Yes.
It's a need. A must.
Yes.
Yeah, even a personal relationship, marriage, kids, whatever, right? Like I struggle with communication and being open with how I'm feeling. So I've slowly learned through my job, through my side hustles, you know, through being married, like, just communicate, like, just say what you're feeling, you know, and it's going to be way better in the long run.
Yeah, it actually ends up making it easier, because even for me, sometimes I feel like opening up is going to make things harder because you don't want to be perceived the wrong way. But then if you don't open up, it makes things so much more difficult, when if you would have just said how you felt in the first place, things would have been easier.
The other person learns something about you, but also you don't let it ruminate and build and build and build, and you go worst case scenario, or when you build up this imaginary thing, it's like, oh, like, that's not how I felt at all. Like, oh, okay, if I just told you from the beginning, I would have been so worried about how you were going to react to it, me eventually telling you.
Exactly.
Big assumptions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. All right, with your experience in both coaching and personal fitness, what advice would you give to someone just starting out in a fitness journey, and what common mistakes should they avoid?
Yeah, so we get a lot of people coming in from into the gym that either have come from something else or were a member of our gym, stopped for whatever reason, especially during COVID. You know, things were shut down, people were scared, so they didn't know what to do, so they didn't do anything. And so we had a lot of people coming back saying, hey, I took the last year or two off. You know, I remember where I was before, like, let me just jump right back in. And then it's like, well, hold on, like, maybe we need to figure this out. So a couple things that I would recommend is, if you are going from never working out before to working out, or if you have taken a break for a little while and want to kind of get back into it, either way, the assumption is that you don't really have a habit in place, you don't have any idea like how to really get things going, the first thing would be to create that plan. Okay, how many days do I want to go? What do I want to do? What time do I want to go to those things? If you can lay those couple of things out, it gets rid of that decision fatigue. You're making enough decisions throughout the day. If you can sit down on Sunday and say, I want to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. I'm going to do legs one day, back one day, and chest another day. That will get rid of getting up and going, oh, I don't know what time I'm going to go today or anything like that. And that'll get you away from being able to talk yourself out of going, oh, I don't know what to do. I'll go tomorrow instead. So that would be the first thing, is having a plan and then putting it on a calendar and committing to that.
Yes. I like what you said about having a plan, because what is the saying? If you
fail to plan, plan to fail.
Yes, I absolutely love it. Even though I couldn't remember the saying a second ago,
it's
but
still locked in there. No, not to plan.
Yes.
We're going to plan around here. We have a plan.
It's easy to flip those around and get it all mixed up, and then it says the opposite of what you wanted to say.
Yes.
All right. And then once you have a plan, like the thing too is to not go overboard with it. Especially if you're somebody who just was off for a year, maybe you had an injury, you haven't been in. Like if you're somebody that was running 5 or 10 miles a day, training for whatever, a marathon, and you've been off for a year because of an injury, you can't go back into it saying, I'm going to run every day 10 miles. And like people tend to go way overboard. Like the motivation's high. Like I want to get back in the gym. So like 7 days a week, I'm doing 2-a-days. Like you just can't go overboard with it because you're going to injure yourself or re-injure yourself. First couple of days back are going to be tough. You're going to be a little sore no matter what you're doing. You're going to be tight. You're going to be extra tired. And all it's going to do is get rid of the motivation you just had because you're like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't feel like going to the gym. Like that's the hardest part, is just not going overboard because you're so excited to get back into it. And that's where having a coach would be helpful, whether, it's in the gym that you're going to or a nutrition coach, like having somebody being like, oh, whoa, back off here. Like, let's ease back into it because it is easy to get overexcited.
Right. Just surrounding yourself by like-minded individuals, and that is the key to any, success anywhere. It's great.
100%. Yeah, the accountability and, a buddy system, like if somebody's trying to go, like if somebody else is trying to in the same spot you are and they want to go back too, it's like, hey, let's do it together. Even if you don't go at the same time, you can say, hey, I'm committed to going these days and this time, and then you can check in with each other and you'll feel like you need to go more because you don't want to let your friend down or your sister or your brother or whoever it is.
So true. So true.
Like myself, I've been back and forth from fat to fit, a little bit of some packs, a little bit of cake, a pack of cake, so back and forth with it.
Yeah, so same here. So I understand, but it's like if we're not motivated, then usually we're not motivated together. But then as soon as we're motivated together, it's like, oh, let's get up at 5, we're going to go for a run. But then if we're both on the same, that's why I said like-minded individuals, because you have to be, but somebody has to be the one like, no, we're going to do it. So, that's something that we're working on as well. Yeah,
definitely. And with like the motivation aspect, like that's not always going to be there. In fact, most of the time it won't be there. And I mean, as much as I love doing it, there have been numerous days where it's just like, I don't feel like lifting. I don't feel like pushing myself. I don't feel like doing it. But the biggest thing is to just go, and not even just go and do anything. Like if you said, I'm going to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5, go to the gym at 5. If you don't feel like working out, just at least go and put on your gym clothes, and then you can leave. If that's all you do, then that's fine. It's just building that habit, because typically what you'll find is getting there, getting ready, and then you'll be like, okay, like maybe I'll just walk on the treadmill for like a minute or two and then I'll leave. And then just building up on that. The motivation's not always there. Most of the time it's not, honestly. It's a struggle to get there, but just going there, once you're there, you're like, okay, this isn't that bad. And then once you're done, you're like, God, I'm so glad I went and I just did something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, it's just something.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and then when you get there, you see other people and you might run into a friend there. So it's just better to just go, show up,
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So wholesaling direct to seller is a unique approach to real estate. Could you explain how this works and what you believe are the benefits and challenges to this approach?
Yeah, so wholesaling essentially is to get a property under contract and then as if you're going to buy it, and then selling the rights of that contract to an end buyer, with the price that you get it under contract for being less than what you'd end up selling it for. This could be, and usually the end buyer is typically another investor. So, and these properties can be off market or on market. I do personally off market properties, so I'll kind of talk about that more than anything else, just because I don't deal with anything on market. But essentially, if you are marketing, and that can be through cold calling or texting, you go onto different software, that's PropStream, Batch Leads. I mean, you can go to county websites and pull like pre-foreclosures, but either way, you need the property address and the owner's address or phone number to be able to get the owner's phone number. So the owner's address, their names, then you can do what's called skip tracing, which is what jails and courthouses use to find people's information so that if they skip bail. So they'll skip trace those numbers. So you'll have a list of properties, say it's 100, and then you'll have a list of owner names and owner phone numbers, and then you can cold call or text them to see if they're interested in selling the house. Typically looking for somebody who might want to sell, who might be in a distressed situation, whether they've just gotten a divorce, or the property's been vacant for a while, or it's just in foreclosure. So there's a bunch of different options. So focusing on those people and getting to the point where they say, yes, I'm ready to just be done with it. And you run the numbers. All right, if I get it for this amount, knowing it needs X amount of dollars in work to get up to, whether they're going to flip it or just say, hey, I'm going to fix it up a little bit and then rent it out. So wholesalers will go and do all of those marketing. It's basically marketing and sales. That's really all it is. It's not so much real estate investing. It's in real estate, but it's really just a marketing and sales gig and just keeping track of all of that information. But you go through that whole sales and marketing process. You have somebody who says, yes, I'll sell it to you for $100,000. Right. Me as the wholesaler can say, awesome, cool, here's, sign the contract. They sign the contract saying, yes, I as the wholesaler am buying this property from you for $100,000. And then you say, oh, okay, I don't want to hold this personally. It's not in an area I want to hold anything in, whatever the reason. I don't have the funds available. You'll go to somebody else who you may have known in that area and say, hey, I have this property for, under contract, $110,000 is what I'll sell you the contract for. And you make the difference between those two numbers. So if the end buyer buys it for $110,000 and you have it under contract for $100,000, you get that $10,000 in what's called an assignment fee. So that's how you make your money. So the money you spend pulling the lists and skip tracing and sending out texts and calling will be hopefully less than what you make in that assignment. And it's just a continual process of marketing and follow-up and marketing and follow-up and sales. And it's great because it's a great entry-level spot. You don't necessarily need to spend a ton of money, right? You don't need 25% down or 10% down for a property. You don't need tens of thousands of dollars for closing costs and rehab. You can just find the deal and sell it to somebody else. So it's a great way to get started, and it's a great way to get potentially large influxes of single amounts of cash. So you can build up those reserves to the point where now I'm ready to buy the properties rather than wholesale them out. It also gives you control of the flow. You're direct to seller, so you're the only one communicating with it. If you're on market, you've got to go through an agent, so you're not directly to the person you want to be communicating with and negotiating with. There's a third party in the way that, whisper down the lane never really works that well in either direction. So you're direct to the person, you have control of the deal. If you want to keep it, you've likely got yourself a really good deal because you've negotiated it down because you know you want to be able to sell it for higher to somebody else. And then the final part that is really good about it is the scalability of it. At the beginning, maybe you're doing all the marketing, all the sales. You can build out a team to do all of that for you, train them, and then you can go on and do other things. So wholesaling is a really great way to get started and to be able to scale and have control of the entire process.
Yes. That is awesome. I like how you broke it down. So even a person who has no idea what wholesaling is, they've never heard of the term in their life, they can understand exactly what it means by the way you broke it down.
How you can help people make money in the process.
Yes, that's awesome. So would you say it's any cons to wholesaling?
For sure. I mean, if it's time consuming, it takes a while to get that potential first deal. I mean, yeah, you have the unicorn ones where like somebody's just ready to go and you got lucky. Those will happen, but it's time consuming. You have to be committed to it, and you have to consistently do the work, consistently sending out the text message, consistently following up, making the phone calls. So it's easy to give up after 30, 60 days of being like, why haven't I gotten anything yet? So that's definitely a con. The other part too is if you're not super familiar with sales or marketing or systems, it can be difficult to keep yourself a little bit organized. Most people start off with a Google spreadsheet and, they're just doing it that way and it works, but eventually you need to build out those systems. So it can be hard that way. But I think the hardest part is typically it's people who haven't been in real estate too much and they're still learning, so they don't run their numbers right, but it's really just being consistent long enough for it to work. Eventually it will work. It's just figuring out how long it's going to take you and just being committed to it for however long it's going to take. And it might be 1 month, it might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, but if you consistently do it, eventually it'll happen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's some good advice, people.
And what would you say to the person who is having a difficult time staying organized? They're using the Google Sheets, but they're forgetting to put their leads in there. What would you recommend that they use in order to stay a little bit more organized?
Yeah, the Google Sheets it's nice, but there's a bunch of tools out there like Trello boards, like having a little card contact for somebody is a good way to do it. The other thing that you can do is start networking with people. Some people are really good at keeping things organized and handling systems. So maybe working with somebody to help you keep organized, maybe somebody else that's new, like talk to them, if you talk to more people who are doing the same thing, you can work together and build that accountability just like you would with fitness or anything else. And maybe they can help keep you organized if you just focus on generating the leads or following up with the sellers. And that would be the biggest thing, is just find somebody else that might be able to help you. There's a ton of tools that you could go through, and everybody's brain operates differently, whether it's the cards or Google Sheets or however it works. There's plenty of CRM, customer relationship managers, that you can pay for that helps keep you a little bit more organized. So there's a ton of options, but if you're trying to do it free or cheap, work with somebody else. Building a network isn't going to be negative at all. It's only going to help you in the long run anyway, so it certainly can't hurt.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
Definitely.
Wonderful.
Yep. So, if you got people that's trying to reach out to you, for fitness advice, or they want to link up and do some type of partnerships with real estate or anything. How do these people reach out to you? What's the best form of communication?
Yeah, so I have Instagram works, Zack Busch, Zack Busch, like the beer, not like the president, and then 924 is my Instagram. So that's a great way to follow me. I try to post some stuff, my weightlifting, what I'm coaching, nutrition tips, facts, and then some real estate stuff. So I try to throw a little bit of everything in there. So that'll be the best way to kind of follow my progress, and kind of, if you want to DM me, that would be great too. Like, just want to help more people. If you have any questions, like, I'm more than happy to help give any advice or work with anybody, whether it's in real estate or health and fitness. Like, I just want to help as many people as I can.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Yes, and we'll be sure to put all of your information where they can follow you and contact you in the description so that they can reach out to you. Yes, but thank you so much again, Zack. This has been very informative, very good information. I hope you all received it. Thank you again. This has been another episode of Conversations with SNL.
Yep, don't forget, I'm Seth.
I'm Lashia.
And together,
We make Sequoia live in REI.
Yeah, we're having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah.